All right, let's talk about AI governance. It's a huge topic right now, but honestly, there's a massive fundamental flaw in how most companies are going about it. So, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on that flaw and figure out what a real solution actually looks like. So, picture this. It's 2026. The EU AI Act is in full swing, new laws are popping up everywhere, and organizations are just scrambling. I mean, it is a frantic race to get AI governance under control. It feels like the number one priority for, well, pretty much everyone. And this whole race has led to this kind of standard checklist. You've seen it. People are publishing policies, they're forming committees, they're checking off all the compliance boxes, and writing these really impressive looking frameworks. On the surface, it looks like a ton of work is getting done. But here's the question we really need to be asking ourselves. What if all that busy work, all those meetings and all those documents, what if it's all just for show? What if it's just an illusion of control? And that leads us to this idea we're calling policy theater. It's this performance of doing governance, without the actual substance behind it. It looks fantastic from the outside, but when you look closer, it's just not real. And this right here, this is the heart of the entire problem. The quote says it all. Governance without architecture is just theater. It means if your rules aren't built on a solid technical foundation, the actual architecture of your systems, they exist on paper, sure, but the second they face a real-world test, they just collapse. It's a performance, not a reality. You see, the problem is we've been starting in completely the wrong place. It's like we're writing the rule book for a game before we've even designed the playing field. Everybody starts with the policy documents when they should be starting with the technical blueprints. It's totally backwards. Okay, let's make this real. Your policy might say all AI decisions must be explainable. That sounds great, right? But it's your system's architecture that actually determines if the model you picked can even be interpreted, or if the data pipeline was built in a way that lets you trace why a decision was made in the first place. Or let's take data protection. A policy can scream, protects the data all day long, but if the architecture wasn't designed from the very beginning with things like data lineage and clear audit trails baked in, well, protecting that data is just a wish. It's not a real capability. You can't just bolt it on later. And what about human oversight? The policy says you need a human in the loop, but it's the architecture that defines what that actually means. Is the human getting useful information at the right time to make a real informed decision? Or are they just being forced to click approve on something they have no real control over? That's the difference between a control point and a rubber stamp. So you can see how this policy-first approach just leads to theater. So how do we get out of the theater and into reality? Well, it starts by asking the right questions, these foundational architectural questions that, frankly, most governance frameworks completely miss. Let's walk through them. All right, the first question is the big one. Just for a second, forget the policy document. Look at your actual systems, your data platforms, your cloud infrastructure, the whole tech stack. Can it physically support the rules you're trying to write? Because if the foundation isn't there, the rules are just words on a page. They don't matter. Okay, next up, auditability. Look, it's not a matter of if an AI system makes a mistake, it's when. And when it does, regulators are going to want to know why. So was the ability to trace and audit every decision designed into the system from day one? Or is it something you're going to try to piece together after a disaster? Because trust me, trying to retrofit auditability is a complete technical nightmare. Question 3 is all about being ready for change. The legal landscape for AI is shifting under our feet constantly. Does your architecture have the flexibility to adapt? Can you adjust a rule for, say, California without completely breaking your compliance model for the EU? A rigid system today is just a pile of technical debt tomorrow. And finally, the fourth question, is your governance alive? I mean, is it an active, automated, monitored part of your everyday operations, a real capability? Or is it just a PDF sitting in a folder somewhere collecting digital dust? The companies that are really getting this right are treating governance like code, not like a memo. Answering these questions really gets us to the main idea here. You have to build governance into the very DNA of your systems. But this is way harder than it sounds. And that's because of something we call the convergence challenge. See, the problem is AI governance doesn't live on its own little island. It slams right into everything else. Your super strict cybersecurity rules might totally conflict with the data access an AI model needs to work properly. Or your cloud governance, which is all about saving money, might starve an AI system of the power it needs. It can get really messy, really fast with all these competing rules. So, how do you solve this giant puzzle? This is exactly where the discipline of enterprise architecture comes in. It's the one practice that's actually designed to look at the entire business, the strategy, the processes, the tech, all of it, and figure out how to weave all these competing demands into one single coherent model that actually works. This is the huge mindset shift. The goal isn't to hire a bunch of compliance people to chase developers around with checklists. No, the real goal is to build systems where being compliant is just a natural structural property. The system is compliant by its very design, not because of a bunch of administrative effort piled on top. So we'll leave you with this final thought. Stop asking, do we have an AI governance framework? It's just the wrong question. The real question, the one that separates the policy theater from reality, is this. Do you have an enterprise architecture that can actually bring that framework to life and enforce it? That's what really matters.